Hey guys, welcome in. I'm trying to be back as of today. It's been just over a week. Been just over a week since I've been on live. I was not able to talk for the past week, so you'll hear and kind of notice the scratchiness in my voice still. Trying to work all the kinks out, work all the bugs out, but trying to get back into the groove. So it's a big week coming up for the Power of 50. The book deadline for my contributing authors is approaching on Thursday on the 15th. So I am super excited to get back in the groove. I still have a lot of my own writing to do that I haven't been able to do for the past week from being sick. So as you come in, I welcome you. I welcome you to the Ultimate Power Team. I welcome you to the Power of 50 community. No matter where you're finding this broadcast, whether you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And so I want to fill you guys in a little bit on who I am, what the Power of 50 community is all about, and then talk to you about today's life lesson. And it's crazy because I can't remember the last time I haven't been on a live broadcast in over a week. Like this is really, it's been well over a year. So it feels really weird. I feel kind of behind, like I gotta get caught up. But at any rate, so welcome in to the Power of 50 community. My name is Marci Batiste. I'm your ultimate power coach, America's #1 reality-based success and recovery trainer. The Power of 50 community is a community specifically targeting women to educate, encourage, and empower one another. The Power of 50 community is open to men and women because we never want to forget the significant role that men play in our lives, our families, and in our communities. So we welcome the fellas into the community. There is a special group just for the ladies where we can take a little bit deeper dive into some subjects and things like that. So I welcome you in. Really, truly, Power 50 is all about reaching back to the younger sisters that are coming behind us to share our life lessons, share our journeys, share our experiences. The Power of 50 book, which is coming out in December, is a place where you can go and find a conglomeration of these life lessons. So there's going to be 50 life lessons for helping you become your best self. And so I'm super, super excited about that. And I had to put off a couple author interviews this week, but I'm anxious to let you guys meet some of the authors and find out more about the stories that you're going to be able to find in the book. And then also the community is about sharing with other women who are, in your mid to late 40s, on the cusp of 50, over 50, that it's not too late to pursue your dreams. It's not too late to go after your passions. It's not too late to start the business, take the trip, whatever it is that you want to do that's going to make you feel whole and complete by yourself, inside yourself. So many times as women, we give so much to everyone else that there's nothing left. We feel depleted. We feel exhausted. We feel detached. We feel unappreciated. And so there's a lot of negative connotations that by nature of just our giving nature as a woman, we tend to forget about ourselves. Sometimes we forget to give to ourselves. And so the Power of 50 is to bring together in one place a community for us to lift each other up, encourage, educate, and empower one another. So I welcome you to that community. There's links attached with the broadcast. If you haven't joined, please do so. I welcome you. So I want to go on into today's life lesson before my voice gives completely out again. One of the things that I was reminded when I was sick this week is that sometimes you just have to be still. We get caught up in daily life. We get caught up in the things that we want to do and where we're going and our plans and our goals, and those things are all fine and good and well, but sometimes you just have to be still. And Ironically, if you choose not to be still, things like bronchitis will come along and sit your ass down, and it will make you take some time to just be still and let God speak to you through your soul. And so, a lot of times we have stuff on our minds and on our hearts, but we get so caught up and we got to go, we got to do, we got to achieve, we have to accomplish that we don't listen to what we need to listen to for our hearts to be happy, for our souls to be happy. And so for me, let's see, I got sick. I've been sick really with this nagging cough for about 6 or 7 weeks, and I just kept going and going and going and going and going and going. And then about last week, last Monday, was I was okay Monday. I could feel it kind of getting a little bit worse. By Tuesday, I was in bed. Literally by Tuesday, I'm in bed. By Wednesday, Thursday, I'm at the doctor. Like it was that bad that quickly. And what it forced me to do was just be still. And it gave me time to think. It gave me some time to process some things. It gave me time to do some reflection. I wasn't really up to writing and things like that, so I didn't really do any of that. But I meditated a lot during this past week, and I really thought about some of the things that um, what really is going to be important on this next 50. Because one of the things that I said to myself was that no matter what happens when I turn 50, I know that I want the next 50 to be much more amazing than the first 50 was. So the first 50 was filled with a lot of learning, a lot of life lessons. I bumped my head a lot of times. I fell down a lot of times. I got hurt a lot of times. I spent a lot of time in tears. And I said, you know what? I don't want the next 50 to look like the first 50. And so I began to think over the last few years of what can I develop? What can I create? What can I do that's going to put me in a position to ensure that the next 50 doesn't look like the first 50? And so while I was down, I was really thinking about, um, the things that are really, really, truly important. And some of the things that I personally have focused on over the years that haven't necessarily served me well. And so you have to be able to take that objective look at your life. You have to be able to take that objective look at where you are personally, professionally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and say, is this a good space for me? So what I realized was in a lot of ways, I'm in great space. I'm in the best space I've ever been. But there are still some things that I want to improve. So obviously, finances, we all want our financial situation to be better. So I know I need to do some more concerted efforts targeting that. So, a lot of the things that I have on going for the business for next year are going to play into that. But I also know that I need to be more disciplined with my finances. So, thinking through things like that, and then just purely from an emotional standpoint, and as far as how we build relationships and who we allow to get close to us and all that kind of stuff. So, really, this being sick, while I hated, while I hated being sick, when I looked back in hindsight as I started to feel a little bit better, and I was talking to a good friend of mine the other night, and he said, sometimes, God's going to sit you down. And I was like, yeah, like you really, for real, like for real, sit you down. And, I'm so blessed that mine is bronchitis, right? So a good friend of mine just had surgery for breast cancer. And there's just so many things and so many ways and so many times that we are so blessed that we overlook them. So while I could sit here and complain about my bronchitis and being sick for a week, blah, 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 that ain't nothing. it ain't nothing to what she's going through. It's nothing compared to what a lot of people are going through. And so that's why I always try and look at, even when I went through domestic violence and all that kind of stuff, I always looked at it from a standpoint as it could have been so much worse. Like, no matter what, no matter how bad my bads have been, they always could have been worse. They always could have been worse. And so using time when you have to just be still to really, 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 truly, they talk about counting your blessings and listing them off, but truly identifying what are you blessed for, and then being open to new blessings to come into your life, being open to new situations and new experiences, and not being so married to how you used to do things. One of the things I always say to my clients is you'll never become who you are destined to be as long as you remain attached to who you used to be. You have to be willing to shed all of that. And sometimes that's a hard thing to do, but we want to hold on to bits and pieces of who we used to be. But you got to understand that until you are ready and willing to let go of it, it's always going to look the same. And so I was thinking about that as it relates to relationships. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said to me that he noticed that I'm really careful about what I say. And he's right. I'm so careful about what I say. Um, from a standpoint of I'm very selective about who I allow to get close to me, but I also don't want to give them a wrong impression, things like that. But at the same time, you have to balance that. When he said that, I was thinking, you really have to be careful. You have to balance that, because sometimes, I know for me, sometimes my carefulness, my selectiveness can, just like it can be a blessing, it can be a curse, because you can actually push away people who are really good for you and really well intending for you, because you've got this wall up. And so I don't have a wall up per se, but when he said that, I did have to be mindful, like, okay, so if it was somebody who wasn't willing to really look past that and figure out, okay, so where does this come from, or why, is there, these like little obstacles in the way. You could have somebody who is a blessing for you walk away just because they don't want to deal with digging through or climbing over these walls or these mountains or whatever. And so one of the things I talk about when we talk about boundaries is, hey, Dr. Rodney, is that you have to build fences. You can't build walls, you guys. And so the fact that my friend was able to say that to me is a good thing, because he was able to say it, but I had a fence, not a wall, so I was able to receive that. And then I'm able to then go back and say, okay, how am I looking at this? How am I thinking about these things? How is my position on this going to affect relationships going forward? And I tell you guys all the time, I'm not out here ring chasing, I'm not out here looking for a relationship, but I'm open to having one. But I have to be mindful that, just like my friend heard that I'm really cautious with what I say, someone else, he heard cautious because he's taken the time to know more about me. But somebody else might say, that's a wall. And it's not, but it can be perceived that way. And so that's what these boundaries and these fences that we talk about, that's what they do, you guys. You have to be able to allow information to flow in and out. You can't block everything out. You can't say, oh, well, it's going to be this way and that's the only way, because you risk blocking yourself from blessings just because they don't look like what you thought they were going to look like. They don't sound like what you thought they would sound like. And so you have to be open up to that. And those are the types of things that, for the last week, being sick actually allowed me time to process a lot of things, time to really think through some things, really meditate on some things, and be clear, not just about my goals, which is something that I focus on a lot, but my soul. So you can't just focus on the goals and ignore your soul, you guys. You have to sometimes use the time to be still long enough to let your soul hear You have to hear with your soul. And that's a really, sometimes it can be really uncomfortable to allow yourself to get in that space, because sometimes your soul is going to want to tell you things, excuse me, about you and about other people that you don't necessarily want to hear. You know, your soul has a different plan for you than your mind maybe does, and even one maybe different than your heart. And so just be still, be quiet, be patient, be objective, and listen with your soul sometimes. And, you know, like I said, mine came from being sick, but I do know that as a result of this experience, and why I'm sharing this as one of the life lessons this week, is that I need to be intentional about doing this even when I'm not sick. Like I can't, I don't want to wait until I'm sick and like literally can't do anything else to force myself to slow down. And so I'm good about managing my time and managing my energy. But sometimes when I'm managing the energy, it could still be productive time where I'm doing something like a bit of soul searching, a little bit of soul listening. And so that's my message to you guys today. Sometimes you just have to slow down. You have to be still, and you have to learn to listen with your soul. So that's the message for today, guys. I'm going to get off of here. I can already hear my voice getting strained again. So I will try and be back on tomorrow with another life lesson. But it feels super good to be back. I'm excited about things that are going on this week. And just a reminder, if you haven't clicked the links either up or below, depending on where you're finding the broadcast at, please join the Power 50 community. And ladies, please make sure you join the Womenhood and Wisdom group, which is just for the ladies. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have an amazing, amazing day. Feels good to be back. Take care, guys. Thanks, Dr. Rodney.